Welcome back to Epic Exchanges, and we are back with a mini series with children's book authors, which we have featured some in the past. And I love talking to children's book authors about why they've written their book, what they hope people learn, because I think we can all learn so many simple but important truths about existing in this world and within society from something as simple as a children's book. So this week, I am really excited to welcome Nat Bickel, who has written a book called The Volcano No One Could See. And we will have Nat share the story a little bit later in the podcast. But first, Nat, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thanks so much for having me, Kelly. I know we tried to do this last year and I was releasing two books, so I'm excited to join you today. But yeah, I am Nat Bickel. I'm a published writer and author, and I also work in public relations. And what I like to do when I write is really stir up something in my readers. So whether it's shifting your perspective on something, maybe you want to change how you're living in a certain area of your life, or maybe it's just finding something beautiful that you once thought was mundane. I really love to try and challenge my readers, whether it's me writing an article or a book. And I like to say that I am the trendy oat milk to your latte. So I love to leave people, wanting more, wanting to taste a bit more, and wondering, what was that note in there? Was that a note of nutmeg? What was that? And just kind of sparking curiosity and having people dive down whatever topic I've introduced to them. And I have written and published three books. So the first one is called The Christmas Clue, and it is a children's book about a Christmas morning scavenger hunt to the last gift. And it's inspired by a tradition that my dad actually created and still does to this day, even though both me and my brother are full grown into our 30s. And then my second book is a young adult novel called The Catalyst, and it is all about how love can interrupt life in the most terrifying and unexpected ways. And it really captures all of the raw emotions that comes with love and falling in love. So everything from vulnerability to fear to extreme joy and the back and forth of it all. And then the book we're talking about today, The Volcano No One Could See, is about an unlikely volcano that pops up in the heart of a city, and a fourth grade journalist can see it, but not everyone else can around her. And so she's on a mission to find those who can see it as well and to spread the news.
Okay, well, I'm excited for us to share the book a little bit later after we have a bit of a discussion. But first, I'd really like to know what is it about the genre of a children's book that has drawn you in or and makes you want to write them?
Yeah, well, first off, I love being able to read books to children, whether it's mine or someone else's. It's really fun to watch them just zone in. It's almost like whenever they're watching a screen, and it's like you can snap next to them and they're not going to look at you. I think that that's really cool that kids can just like hone in on a story. And I really love watching them put together kind of the words I'm saying out loud with the pictures they're seeing, the illustrations, and I just see their imagination spark. And that's a really cool thing that kids have that I wish adults had more. I wish we could pay more attention to books and just be completely locked in, and sometimes we can, but it's very different as a kid. And also, I think it's a really unique platform to be able to kind of introduce big topics in a way that's digestible by everyone, adults and kids. And it's a way that they can learn because stories matter so much and stories stick with kids that the morals or whatever you're trying to get them to take away from it can be ingrained through those characters.
Right. So true. I'm going to guess that you were an early reader and or a voracious reader growing up. Is there a children's book that made such an impact on you that maybe it's the first children's book you bought that isn't your own that you give to kids or to parents?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's probably more of a middle grade book, but because of Winn-Dixie, it really stuck with me. Just the grit and tenacity of that young girl in that book and the love that she finds in a dog has always stuck with me. So as kids get older, I do love to gift them that. As far as picture books go, that is hard.
So I have two that I always come back to. One is that one that I discovered more as an adult, actually, that my sister
Hmm.
who was an early childhood educator, she used to point it out and gift it. And it's called The Paper Bag Princess. I don't know if
Mm.
you know that story, and it's about a princess who shows up at, I think I'm gonna probably get this wrong, a princess house in like where her clothes have been destroyed and she was kind of wearing a paper bag, and his mother doesn't think she's a real princess. Kind of that. Like you don't have to necessarily present as something that you people need to get to know you so that they know the value you bring is kind of the
Hmm.
what I remember from it. And the other one is so old, like from when I was a kid, called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Yes.
And I mean, that one I always think of. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like that was such a fun book. And again, it just pops into my mind some 40 plus years later.
Yeah, they stick with you. They really do.
They do. And I love gifting children's books. So I love um, discovering new ones from people like you and other authors that we've had on the program. So the topic and theme of the volcano that no one could see. First of all, can you share what that is? But then also, why is that topic so important to you?
Yeah, so I am really passionate about equity and justice and uplifting those who have previously been silenced or shut down or shut out. And so I dedicated this book to two people, one being my nephew, who is neurodivergent, as is the main character, and then my best friend, who is a person of color. And so I really wanted this book to be a metaphor for bringing awareness to issues in society that maybe we're blind to unless we're affected by them personally or unless we know someone affected by them. And so it's really just a book about, educating yourself about systemic injustices and racism and different terrible things that go on in our world and being able to find the beauty in our differences and being able to elevate this mosaic of all these different lived experiences and people with different backgrounds and different things going on. And so I am also a huge advocate of therapy, and I believe each of us has a volcano inside of us that can be triggered and erupted by things that are unseen by other people. So really doing the work and figuring out your attachment style, what emotions come up for you during different times, how you react to situations, I think is highly needed and beneficial for living in this world. And then being compassionate and empathetic towards others. Because, for example, maybe I say something or I do something that I think is harmless, but it causes someone else's volcano to erupt. And I'm like, whoa, why are you overreacting? But really, that was attached to a painful memory, and that maybe they didn't realize what I said was attached to that. So I think whatever therapy modality you use, reprocessing traumas and working through all of that is very important. And so the book is multi-layered, but it's mainly about awareness of everyone's different lived experiences, including your own, and just really finding the beauty in that and creating inclusivity.
Right. You reminded me of a mentor that I had years ago who said that she believed everybody should do at least 1 year of therapy because there's so many
Mhm.
things that we don't even know that affect us on a daily basis. Even if we haven't been through a major trauma, although I would venture to say these days everyone has some kind of trauma in their lives
Yeah.
that affects them. So I love I too am a huge advocate of therapy and different modalities of discovering what it is that makes us act the way we do and react the way we do. So I love that you're
Hmm.
focusing on that in a subtle way, perhaps,
Yes.
because it kind of needs to be subtle. The best children's
Hmm.
books and the best children's movies, I think, speak to adults and kids in different ways, right? So having said that, what do you hope that children and adults or both learn or take away from reading the book?
Yeah, I think I'll speak to adults first, but I think it's really just taking kind of that first step, whether it's trying to figure out what are my biases, how have I maybe been looking at a situation or a people group or something incorrectly based on how I grew up or what media has told me. Maybe it's taking a step towards racial reconciliation and whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's in your friend group, maybe it's in your community, maybe it's taking it as far as reaching out to your government official. But really just, I think, finding ways to educate yourself on what's going on in our culture, and finding ways to give voice to other people. And maybe your voice has been the loudest for a while. Maybe you need to take a back seat, or maybe you've been the one who's silent, who really needs help standing up and speaking out. But I think for parents, I would just love for them to take some sort of step forward. And then for kids, really just starting with kindness, and knowing that we all grow up in different ways, and really just finding the beauty in that and finding commonality even when there is difference. And just knowing that you can be kind no matter what the background is of someone else. And I think that that's kind of intuitive for kids already. Like a lot of times they don't realize, like, oh yeah, this person is very different from me. They're just like, hey, you want to go play basketball? Okay, cool. Like we're friends. And they don't see it, which is really, really nice. And I kind of wish that that stayed with us a little bit as adults. But yeah, I think just really trying to take a step towards having a harmonious community and friend group.
Right. Before we dive into sharing the story, I would love to just let people know how they, once they love it, when you
Mhm.
tell it, when you read it, how can people find your book? How can they find you?
Yeah, so The Volcano No One Could See is available on Amazon, as are my other books. And then I'm on all social media at Natmosphere, and that's spelled Natmosfear.
Great. Well, we will be sure to share your links as well, in our posts on social media and everything. So when people find us, when we're promoting this episode, they'll be able to hopefully easily find you. That's our hope.
Yes.
Um, is there anything else you want to share or make sure people know before we dive into the story itself?
Yeah, I would just love to share. So in the book, there is lava that erupts from the volcano, and it's a little bit spicy. And that is a metaphor for once we kind of learn about injustices that are in our society, that they're kind of hard to swallow, they're hard to taste, they're hard to deal with. And so that's a part of the story. It's very subtle, but I just wanted to call it out so that when it does come up, people understand what it's about.
That's great. So you ready to read for me?
Yes, I'm
Great.
ready.
Okay, I will share the pictures while you're reading.
Okay, perfect. May Walters was destined to tell stories. As the school journalist with the highest readership, she's practically a legend. But on an exceptionally unusual day, no one believed her story. May writes real stories, like the one about a kid in math class who had never received an A+ until his brother helped him study. She writes about the best school lunches, teachers who give high fives, and about who made it all the way across the monkey bars at recess. As a fourth grader, May writes for her school newspaper, but her dream is to become a reporter for the New York Times, one of the most widely read newspapers. On a rainy Monday, her mom dropped her off at school early. May was surprised to see her best friend, Miles, was already there. So she sat next to him and started writing her next story. She was struggling to come up with a new article, and it didn't help that the rain made her sleepy. Ending the day with several ideas but no real story, May felt discouraged. She pulled out her favorite dinosaur toy and pushed her fingers along his squishy belly to soothe her frustration. When the rain stopped, May and Miles walked home together. They barely made it 1 block past school when May saw it. It looked like a giant mountain, but instead of a snow on top, it had a giant hole. May stopped in her tracks and stared, seeing the city streets open up to a volcano. Miles, look, she yelled. Yeah, I saw that building yesterday. It's going to be really tall, but my mom said it won't be finished until next year, Miles said. No, not that. May was jumping up and down now. Don't you see it? Miles looked at his friend and shrugged. He had grown used to her occasional heightened levels of excitement over things he couldn't understand, like when she got all bubbly over a story she was writing. It's a volcano! May shrieked. May looked at her friend and then back at the volcano, blinking several times to make sure her eyes weren't playing tricks on her. With each blink, it only became clearer. Unable to convince Miles, they finished the walk home. When May got home, she asked her parents about the volcano, but even they hadn't seen it. She thought maybe they didn't drive past it on their way home from work, but she couldn't be sure. She went to her bedroom and searched the daily online newspaper, but found nothing about the volcano there either. Since it wasn't raining the next morning, May's mom had her walk to school with Miles. On the way, May had her eyes peeled for the volcano, but as they approached the city, she didn't see it. May began to question if she'd imagined it yesterday, when suddenly it appeared in between the tall buildings of the cityscape. "I knew I wasn't crazy," she exclaimed. Noticing that Miles still didn't see, May decided to keep her thoughts to herself. Never mind," she said as they finished the walk to school. During English class, May forced out a story about a girl who ran 2 miles instead of one during gym, but she was distracted by the thought of the volcano. This made her nervous because she still had to finish her weekly article for the school paper. The bell rang for recess, and May was determined to get some answers. She started asking around to see if anyone else had seen the volcano. After receiving some odd looks and many no's, she approached Trace and his younger brother Kai. "Did you guys see the volcano yesterday?" she asked without much enthusiasm. "You saw it too?" Kai asked in awe. "We thought we were the only ones," Trace exclaimed in excitement. May's eyes widened. "I knew it was real! How come you two can see it, and I can see it, but other people can't?" she asked. "Our friend Luna couldn't see it either," Kai said. "The same thing happened with Miles," May shouted. Recess ended and the rest of the day dragged on. May had finally found friends who had seen the volcano, which was proof that it was real. She just had to figure out how to make other people see it too. That night, she checked the news again, only to find nothing had been published. If someone was going to write about the volcano, it might as well be her. May started on the story, but her focus kept shifting to her dog, who was dreaming. May wrote until bedtime, amused by her noisy dog's own snory story unfolding next to her as he continued to sleep. It was Wednesday morning, which meant May had 2 days to turn in a piece for the school paper. However, she decided to submit her work early. When the teacher read it, she called May up to her desk. "May, we don't publish fictional work. We only write factual stories about things that have happened," Miss Peter began to explain. "But it is a real story," May interrupted. Unfortunately, Miss Peter didn't believe her. May now only had 2 days to write an entirely new story. Feeling the pressure, May pulled out a bubble pad and started pushing the rubber bubbles inside out. May took the long way home after school in hopes of finding more people like Trace and Kai who could see the volcano. Normally, she liked sticking to a routine, but forced herself to break it that day for the sake of her article. As she approached the heart of the city with the best view of the volcano, something had changed. The volcano was erupting. The lava wasn't red or hot, but was blue, pink, and purple and looked like cotton candy. May walked closer to the trails of lava that other people didn't seem to notice, until the tips of her shoes almost touched it. She carefully reached down to test it with one finger. The texture felt just like cotton candy. She pulled a piece off, tearing it before carefully placing it on her tongue. "Whoa, that's spicy!" she shrieked, surprised. "I think so too. It's got a kick to it," she heard a voice say next to her. It was her babysitter. "What are you doing here, Melissa?" May asked. "You can see the volcano too?" Melissa laughed. "Yes, I can obviously see the giant volcano, but what I don't understand is why everyone else can't. Even the New York Times hasn't written anything about it." "I know!" May exclaimed. Melissa took another bite of cotton candy. "You were supposed to come over to my mom's house after school, remember?" May looked down at her shoes and started playing with the zipper on her backpack. "When I noticed what time it was, I thought I'd come look for you," Melissa said. "I'm sorry, I forgot. I may have also forgotten that you live with your mom now instead of your dad. So even if I had remembered, I probably would have gone to the wrong house," May said. Melissa smiled. "That's okay. I'm glad I found you." Melissa joined May as they continued to walk along the line of lava, taking bites of the mysteriously spicy cotton candy along the way. They noticed a businessman gasping at the lava that was drawing closer to him. They watched expectantly as he slowly picked up a piece and took a bite. He made a funny face, as if trying to blow out the heat from his mouth. May jogged over to the man and asked if she could include him in her newspaper article, informing him that no one else seemed to be reporting on it, not even the New York Times. He agreed, giving her his name, Carl, and encouraged her to always write, especially about things not everyone else sees or understands. Back home, May took another try at writing the article. She quoted Trace and Kai, Melissa, and Carl. As she sharpened her pencil, it occurred to her that the people who saw the volcano were all very different. She tried to figure out a pattern, but the best conclusion she could come up with was that each person wasn't quote unquote normal, but had a unique place in the world, like herself. When she went to turn in her paper again, the teacher believed her. Miss Peter had unexpectedly tasted the cotton candy and was eager to publish May's article, hoping others would taste it as well. May left school feeling accomplished and invited her new friends over for some edible volcanic lava. Even Miles was beginning to taste a hint of flavor. More people started noticing as the cotton candy spread over the city, which then so did the popularity of May's article. Even the New York Times quoted her in their full coverage of the volcano that spread not just cotton candy, but awareness too. The end.
Thank you. You know, one of the things that I love about the illustrations, but the little pieces that you've put in, and again, yes, subtle, but I think people who need them notice them. The little
Mm-hmm.
things like the bubble, the popping bubbles, the dinosaur, the squishy dinosaur, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
that people use, like fidget spinners or things like that, to manage emotions or manage anxiety and everything. And I like the way that those are subtly placed so that people who need them can feel like, oh, I do that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people who need sensory toys to help, whether it's with anxiety or emotions, or my nephew who has autism, he loves those. So I also wanted to call out in the book whenever she talks about forcing herself to break her routine, because a lot of people on the spectrum live by their routine and have a very hard time breaking it. So yeah, I tried to make them subtle, but also if you use them, then oh yeah, that's something that I use too.
Right. Now, you published this book a couple of years ago. I'd love to know some of the reactions or feedback you've gotten. Do you get notes, letters from kids who have read it, anything like that?
Yeah, so I have several family friends who reached out and they were very excited about it. I think it was very different from the reaction from my first children's book. So, The Christmas Clue, which is a very fun, lighthearted book to honor my dad. And not that this isn't fun and lighthearted, but I think it just people responded differently of like, this is a really good story that needs to be told. Like, this is much more meaningful. And I had one of my friends, he sent me pictures of his son walking around reading it. And it was just so cute and made me so happy. And just the support I've received is really impactful to me. And I've gone to several different book events, and I, for some reason, always think the Christmas Clue will sell better. But whenever people ask about each book and I explain the volcano no one could see, they're intrigued and they're like, oh, that's really cool. And then sometimes they will stand there and read the whole thing and they'll be like, yes, I want a copy. But a lot of people will just pull me aside and be like, what does this mean for you? Because here's what it means for me. So I think it's just kind of opened the door to deeper connection. And I don't know that I fully expected that.
I love that, the unexpected ways that people get touched by when we put our stories out there into the world. So
Hmm.
thank you for following the urge to put this story out there because hopefully it reaches many more people, and that the people that hear it or read it find themselves somewhere in there as well, or find themselves opening up to others who are different from them, because that's really what we need more of in this world. So thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, Kelly.
Well, I appreciate it. And again, for our listeners, check out our social media, get connected to Nat, get her book on Amazon. We'll provide those links as well, or to your author page on Amazon so they can find all your books. Because now I kind of want to read The Catalyst too. So thanks again. And I will look forward to seeing you again soon and see what you write next.
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you.